One. Welcome back to the channel. I am Ann Smith, and you are on Iron Sharpens Iron Council, a ministry dedicated to uplift humanity. We are back with a third segment with Evelyn and Trey doing the damn thing, going up against CPS and losing the fear of fighting a situation that you're lost, you're confused, you're overwhelmed, now vilified and victimized and arrested. So my goodness, this case has taken a very, very ugly turn, because this is what happens when you expose the truth and when you lose your fear, you know. And so this is a mom who is persevering through, you know, the tricks and the traps of going through a family case scenario where now she has them on the rope. So I am just very proud of her and everything that Trey has done and empowered her. So I hope that you guys walk away with a feeling of hope and lose that fear and just continue fight. Do not let them intimidate you into giving up the cause. So I'll turn it back over to you ladies and just go for it and just expose it all. I'm here for it.
So did you already go over, so Evelyn, with the police officers, did you already go over the fact that you asked them questions? And go ahead, tell the questions you asked and what they said to you.
While I was being detained, or after I actually got to talk to someone after they read me my rights, I asked them what was contained, or what components would they look for for a valid court order, for it to be valid. And they didn't know. That was the honest answer that he told me, was, I don't know. I didn't have any paperwork with me, of course, when they detained me, but apparently, I guess the foster family had paperwork. But I specifically told the officer that I didn't have that. I was not with that information. If he had it, could I please have it? He didn't give it to me. He specifically told me, now even to this day, like I said before, I have not been found unfit. I have not lost any of my parental rights, but I think maybe 4 officers altogether, even a sergeant that arrested me, blatantly told me that I do not have any rights to my children if there is a court order, even if they are these temporary orders. And that goes against even what they have published themselves on their own Juvenile Court Act. It references a case of Blair and Bendenhope, I believe is the name of it, and it specifically states the opposite of what these officers are telling me. And I'm asking them, can you just look this up? Can you verify what I'm saying? If I'm interpreting it wrong, can you please interpret it right for me, because I'm not understanding? And no. They were not going to make sure that I showed them wrong, that they were wrong. They was not going to do that. And they escorted me off to jail. So there I sat.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second, too. So when we talk about custody, the word custody, all of us in our minds believe it just is you have a kid in your arms and you take care of the kid, but there's 2 sets of custody. There is physical custody and there is legal custody. Physical custody means that I'm the one who has the child in my home, I'm feeding and clothing him. The legal custody is actually something that happens behind the scenes, and guess what? I'm going to break it down for you. So these people, we're going to talk about what it means to have legal custody and how they got that. So it actually stems back to your buddy, the hospital. When you were there, what happened? We lost you.
Yeah, the screen froze. I tell you. Okay, you were just going to the definition of legal custody and how that started.
Okay. All right, so legal custody, it begins at the hospital when you sign the paternity acknowledgement agreement, or if you're married, it's likely to the marital contract, but I haven't had an opportunity to look through those yet. So the legal custody begins when mother assigns her rights over to the state. Who knew? So when you assign your rights over to the state, what you're doing is saying, I don't want to receive child support in my hand I want you to manage that money for me. This is not just about what daddy's paying you. This is about what the federal government is paying you. So when the feds give money to grants and aid to the children, that means they are supporting the children. And instead of giving that money to you in your hands, you preferred that those people that you're dealing with in juvenile court manage those funds for you. So you'll never see those funds because they're going to go ahead and take those funds on your behalf and distribute them to the children the way they see fit. This is called power of attorney. That's where the power of attorney actually occurs in reality, and you don't even know it until you sit in that courtroom and hear something went wrong here, what's going on. So now you have the real party of interest when it comes to managing the children's money, and that ain't CPS. That's the guardian ad litem. So whomever gets appointed as a guardian to the children means they have that legal custody. Yeah. So they can now make determinations about the care and well-being of your children as if they were you. And they can speak about the children and what the children desire as if they were the children. It's called impersonation. Okay, so they're impersonating you, and they're impersonating your children to determine what everybody in this big picture wants, needs, and desires. And because they're doing that, the next step is they can now determine, we would like to qualify your child for some sort of aid. They need psychological services, so let's get the grant money rolling so we can get some psychological services. But they're not outsourcing those services. They're getting the money to keep in-house with their friends, their buddies, their peeps. So now they get all that money that is funded through the grant system because you accidentally, without knowledge, assigned your rights to manage those funds over to them. So the real party of interest here isn't CPS. CPS loses interest, or they basically transfer their legal custodial rights over to the guardian ad litem at that point. So now you're going through this entire case thinking you're fighting CPS. You got the wrong guy. The real guy is the guardian ad litem, because behind the scenes, the guardian ad litem can have hearings with the judge and everyone, and he doesn't need to tell you about that because you gave him power of attorney. So all those times that CPS cases and all those parents are like, we found the secret file somewhere we didn't know existed. These notices went out. We never got them. These hearings were held. We weren't present. We didn't even know what happened. This is why. Because the guardian ad litem can now do all this business behind your back. He doesn't have to tell you anything. And when you sign up for some of these hospital papers, when you go back and read them, you'll find that you waive right of notice, meaning you don't have to notice me when something happens. Just take care of it. So you waive all of that at the hospital level. These are the kinds of contracts the hospital is putting out that is basically working for the government. And what that means is that they are also acting on behalf of the prosecution. They're also acting as a law enforcement officer. Anytime that an agent, officer, professional is doing some sort of investigative work and producing reports that will be used against you in a court of law, it means they're acting as a law enforcement officer. So your doctors, in taking all those tests and the reports from the laboratory, the chemists, all of them are working for the prosecution. This is adversarial to you, and it puts you in a position where you can actually fight them back on that particular ground. So if they produce a report that says you have tested positive for drugs, it also means that is inadmissible in evidence because of the fact that the law enforcement agents are the ones who produce that particular report.
Conflict of interest.
Exactly. So this entire task force is what they're called, which is the police, the hospital, all those other people I mentioned. They're all working on the same team against you adversarially. And what this means is that they haven't leveled the playing field. You're getting pounded by legal teams, investigative teams, all the same party, but there's like 20 of them and one of you. And this is how they create this confusion. So you think you're fighting CPS because of all these different accusations. But the bottom line to this is that they need to make the record. They need the record to appear as though everything that happened was your voluntarily consent, and that it was somehow an abandonment. And when they can get to that point and the record shows that, they now have full access to all the grant funds that got put into that account. And they can make you a debtor because you didn't perform on behalf of those grant funds that were given to you. That now means that you didn't complete your end of the contract, breach of contract, breach of trust. So now this particular debt is put into the United States debt, and they can earn interest on it too. That's why that you'll find that a lot of parents are complaining that these people are saying I didn't complete services. That's why they try to make it appear as though you didn't complete services. It's a breach of contract issue. So if you didn't complete those services, it gives them the right to basically foreclose on the contract and get the money. And that's what they're really genuinely after. And this is a multi-billion-dollar profitable industry. This is not a nonprofit. Now, a nonprofit organization runs the show, but the money gets filtered through what are called pass-through corporations. And those pass-through corporations are helping the profiteers to shelter that money, to avoid the taxes. And that's why they have that non-profit organization. It's just a pass-through. Mm-hmm. And then that way, the people who are actually making the money on this, what I believe to be human trafficking, is by using this nonprofit organization. So if you go back into your contracts from the hospital, how did we get here, right? You're going to find that the very first instance where you really got messed up is that every hospital you go to, is religiously tied somehow. It's a Catholic hospital, Protestant hospital, Baptist hospital, whatever. So they actually have you identify, on paper, you identify as a Christian. And as you know, President Trump has declared we're a Christian nation, right? What does that mean? So all men have the right to self-govern. All men have the right to take care of their own needs unless they operate outside of that scope, right? Unless they do something like a crime is how we usually think of it. So if you identify as a Christian, it means that you have a policy, a procedure that you follow to keep your morals intact. It's called the Bible. But when you see your doctor and they detect drugs, or if you see your doctor and you're overweight and have type 2 diabetes, does that qualify for someone who is following that biblical policy that they proclaim? Probably not, because we've got to look at gluttony then. We got to look at all the carnal sins that seal the deal. So if you identify as a Christian, but you're not acting like a Christian because you have all these ailments, then that means you're either A, a liar, B, a heathen, or you need help to get back on the Christian path.
Yes.
Services.
Mm-hmm.
Services. And all those services have to kind of come together because if you think about it, if the university provides, 10,000 people with a professional education such as psychology degrees, social degrees, things like that, not very many people are going to seek those kinds of services out on their own. What they're going to do instead is probably ignore the problem or go about their business, and maybe they'll seek religious help. Who knows? But if no one really wants those services willingly, how do we then justify that we just charge you like $100,000 for an education? Now you're going to be a social worker. You're going to go out into the world, paid $100,000 to them, and unfortunately, you don't have any work. So is your mama's, brothers, uncles, sisters all going to go out to go get that $100,000 education now that they see you struggling? No. So it's a monopolized kind of professional industry. They're trying to sell you professional services so that they can keep the people employed that they educated. And you'll find that all of this information falls under all of the Education Acts. So all of these services are educational in nature. And all of these services come from what's called the public domain, right? The public acts, the public law. Oh, they're public servants. Yes, that's true, but you're not the public. When we talk about who the public is the university. They are actually deemed as being a public employer. So now when they open up these organizations, such as the Children's Alliance Network, that is also a public employer. And then they have to employ employees. That's your police officers, your social workers, your psychologists, your professionals, right? So now these people are the public that they are protecting when they actually say, we have to protect the public interest. They're not talking about the people. They're talking about the public employer as the principal, and the public employees as being the ones who help to generate revenue and funds for the public employer. Trust.
Okay.
So when, go ahead.
No, that you said a mouthful, and I don't want people to become overwhelmed. So just to, ooh, Lord have mercy.
2 months in, and I'm always overwhelmed when I talk to Miss Tracy, but it's always an eye opener. It is. Lord, it's a mess.
Is it making sense, or am I confusing you?
No, it's making sense. It's making so much sense, and I just wanted to summarize it for anyone who has been listening so far, to realize that it's not you. It is the system. It was designed this way to confuse you intentionally. You are fighting one dragon, but it's 20 dragons that are working behind the scenes against you. So that's why you are feeling lost and confused, and it is designed to make you quit. It is designed to deplete you of all of your resources, and these people do not fight fair. They fight dirty. They will make you lose your job just to make sure that they win. So it is bigger than what you think, and that's why we are here. It's bigger than the three of us. This is about empowering you and giving you the correct information, and we have unearthed the truth, and we will not stop to get this system to stop, terrorizing us and breaking up our families. So that's what this whole thing is about. I just want to kind of just take a minute to breathe, because people need to understand that this is winnable. No longer will they have us under their thumbs anymore. We are uncovering the truth, and that's what Trey is here doing. So go ahead. I just want to take a minute.
I just also wanted to point out, Miss Tracy makes very, very, very interesting and valuable points, but I think that everyone needs to be aware that this is just not fighting for yourself or your children. What people need to really understand, and this is what I had to understand and grasp, is that we are fighting for our basic constitutional rights. Is what we need people to learn and need to really focus and understand and be educated on your rights as a person. These things that you are entitled to, or these people. I am guilty of not being educated. Really focused on really what it meant before, but now I think it's really imperative that people all across the world really fight for your constitutional rights and really stand up for them, because the longer that we do not understand and we cannot speak up for ourselves, they are going to roll us over. They are going to stomp on us, because these people, like Ms. Tracy pointed out, they are all legally educated. They are all in the legal field, and they know the ins and outs of every situation. So the things that we are saying and the things that Ms. Tracy has helped me understand and uncover, they are not, this is nothing new. And it's not nothing that these people don't know. But us as people in regular common world, we don't know it. Or we just people do not feel like people are going to hold your rights up for you just because that's the right thing to do, because this is not what they're doing. If you do not speak up for your rights, you don't have any rights. And Miss Tracy taught me that as well. I might know all my rights under the world, but if you don't say anything, if you don't speak up for yourself, you don't have any. So
that's true.
That's true.
And that's what they're counting on, by the way.
It's all a setup. It's a setup for failure, and they know exactly how you're going to give up and you're going to give in and you're going to be spent, because now you don't have the resources to continue fighting on. So it's been a setup from the beginning, a setup for failure. So, but the truth is coming out. We are the light. We are the light bearers, and we want people. We need the numbers so that everyone can start winning, and that's how we take back, control of our lives and take back control of the court system and stop this corruption, because it has gone on so corrupted for so long that it's time to expose the truth, and that's what we're trying to do here. Today with your case.
Even we were discussing the police officers. This has gone on for so many decades. I want to say that even the police officers don't even understand the law of it. They don't even really understand that, like, this is a trial-like court. It is not a real court. It's just mind-blowing, these things that Miss Tracy has helped me understand and uncover. It really just is off the charts, I tell you.
Yep, and you got to understand too, so a lot of times when we're addressing these people, we're not asking the right questions. Everybody has a ton of questions. They hear the same questions over and over and over again. Trust me, they hear it all the time. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, when we need to speak with them, or they need to speak with us, what we should be doing before anything else is uncovering what their intentions are. If we don't know what their intentions are, we are not obligated to perform or contract with them. So, okay, yeah, sure, I can help you out here. We can do this. But I need to know first what your intentions are and how far are you willing to take it to prove to me that your intentions are good. Will you also agree to assume equal liability, equal obligation, and then we can move forward? If you don't do that, then you can't push me into agreeing to do anything with you or for you, because intentions is everything. And they don't have good intentions. How do we know that? Because they refuse to put on record their good intentions. Mm-hmm. In this particular case, we sent them a memorandum of understanding, and we said, if you file another motion, if you want to participate in the care of these children, we'll agree with that, except you first have to sign up your fiduciary duty care. We first want you to have the court decree you as a acting parent and a non-custodial parent, and then we can go ahead. I don't think that's asking too much, but they don't want to do that for a very, very good reason, because they don't intend, once they're done with you, they have no intentions on protecting your children from anything else. I don't care if it's rape. It could be, and you'll hear it in the juvenile centers, rapes occur, murders occur, abuse, beating them, not just from other children, but from the guards. Mm-hmm. And they do nothing. Why do they do nothing? Everyone keeps asking that. It's because they never established a fiduciary duty of care where after they got you out of the picture, they continue protecting the children. They had never, ever had any intent to continue protecting the children from things like that. So this is something we have to really be careful of.
Ms. Tracy also pointed out in one of my own personal court order records from one of my first hearings that the court actually has already transferred their jurisdiction of the children. They no longer really have jurisdiction by their own admission, but
protective. It's the protective. They didn't waive their jurisdiction in its entirety. The words specify that they are no longer going to have protective jurisdiction over the children, meaning you can come to court and play in our field, but we're not going to do anything from this point forward to help you protect the children if someone else abuses them. That's basically what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, huh?
That's a really scary thing for someone to point out to you as a parent and for your children. So if that doesn't get you over that little threshold of, hey, that you want to fight for your children, if you're too scared to fight for your children, then I'll already tell you it's not going to battle for you, but you have got to fight and just overcome.
Get out of that court.
The good news.
Yeah, the whole objective is to get out of that court because, you know what, it's too dangerous for anybody to be in it, considering we now know that they have no good intentions. Because why? They told us that. When they will not accept a responsibility to protect the children that they want to keep, that tells you that they don't intend on doing anything good for these kids. So now that we know that, why are we there, right? We need to get out of there. And the whole point of everything is just make the record, not because it's going to beat them, but because we want to mess up their record so they can't get paid. That's the good part. We love our children. They love their money. Let's mess their money up. So now we prevent them from making the record that they need in order to get paid. And that record needs to show that they got your fully informed consent or they can't get paid. And we'll get into that at another time on who they're trying to show those consent papers to. But yeah, it goes deeper and deeper.
I'm so excited to help Miss Tracy uncover the hearing where I'm at. And we've been looking, and it was actually just yesterday. I said, oh, I think I found it. And she's like, oh, girl, I think you did. And I was shocked to read a lot of the stuff that I've read, but it's scary, people, but
it is scary. But the good news is once you lose that fear and you continue to persevere, this is what happens. There is hope. There is hope. There is hope. Without hope, there is nothing. But we are here to show you that this mom, she didn't quit, and she's not quitting until she is fully satisfied and made whole. So we have the templates, we have the knowledge, we have the experience, we have the research behind us, and we are here to serve. We want the wins. So, get in touch with us. I'll put all the links in the comments and all the contact information for us. And, let's get them. Let's get them. It's time to bring this system down. It's time for them to, once you dig into their pockets and you stop that gravy train, they'll back off and I call it act right. Let's give them some act right.
Act right, Miss Ann. You're right. Let's give them some act right because they can.
Oh yeah. We're here and we're ready to deliver some act right because it's time. We have been ill prepared for 200 years of this bar system taking over the courts, and even the politicians. They're bar attorneys. So it's time for them to get it and understand that we are here to stay and we're not going to take it anymore. So I'll have the links in the description box. We'll close out here. Do you two have any final words just to give the people hope and just feel empowered?
I just want to say something. So Ann did an interview with a good friend of mine, John Gentry, the other day. What John Gentry did was called a remonstrance into Congress, right? So we're basically going to go down that same path and others. We're going to do that plus more because we're just going to tell everybody. That's what we're just going to be little tattletales. We're going to tell everybody. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because in the end, what we really have to look at here is that these congressmen or senators, they're passing bills. And this particular act in the juvenile code is very obvious. If you know what you're looking at, it is so obvious that I have to question, did you read the bill before you passed it? It's been in existence for a long time. Did you go back and say, after all these complaints from these parents have been occurring, not to mention this particular court in itself is under watch from the DOJ because they violate due process all the time. So they've been under watch. So now we know that. So when is the congressman and the senator going to go back and read the bill that they passed that does not provide equal protection to the children that these courts hear about? Is there a problem with that? I mean, am I asking too much just to say, hey, Mr. Congressman, how about you take a little peeky poo at this little bill that you passed that gets your buddies billions of dollars, and when you are online talking about on TV how you represent me or the people, maybe we need to reconsider your statement because you don't. Maybe we should talk about who you really represent so that they can vote for you and I don't have to. That would probably be a better idea, Mr. Senator, Mr. Congressman, but the point of the matter is we do have to go back in there to say, hey, well, if you didn't know, now you do. Are you going to leave that bill there knowing it doesn't protect children equally and then proclaim you love children? Doesn't really match. So something just to look at. I think if anyone is out there trying to get through the court system, that is another option to go through them and find out, hey, I got this juvenile act. I know how to read it. What's the problem? How come it's still sitting there? That's about it.
We are definitely working our fingers to the bone, trying to get the information out to you all, but, we are a small team, and we can't possibly, there's not enough time in the day to get to everyone's case. So the best way that you know, we're going to try to tackle this and get the information out to the masses is through publishing of our reports and our courses, and we're going to try to get all of these pieces of information, you know, into your hands. And I mean, that's the best way that we can put it out there, you know, to the masses. So I'll have all the links, you know, in the description box, and we just want you to win, guys. We just want you to win. It's time to turn the tables on these monsters, and it's time for us to really take control of not only of our children's lives, but also of the court system and the government system that is supposed to be here to protect us. You know, the definition of government is to serve and protect people, not each other. And so it's time for us to take them to task. And I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready too, Miss Ann. And I
Yes.
think for the parents out there, even if like myself, I had no legalese before this. It was hard to understand, but for parents that are struggling and going through the same thing, my advice to you is don't give up and don't be afraid to go out there and get this information, because it's yours to get and it's out there and it's public and it's free. Just don't give up. And I think the main thing for me is I go to bed every night wondering how does my children feel when they go to sleep? Do they have that knot in their gut like I do? But it's but that's what drives me every day. Every morning I wake up, 8 or 9 o'clock, I call Miss Tracy, hey, I'm up. What are we doing today? Or she'll call me, and we go from there. And it's everyday battle. But I believe if you love your children and you want them home, it's not as scary as you think it is. It's more scary living your life without your kids. So just don't give up, y'all.
All right. If you enjoyed this video, you know how we do. Please give it a thumbs up, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Until the next video, I always forget the part about the hit the bell notification so you don't miss an upload. Until next time, be safe, everybody. Peace, bliss, and positive vibes only in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Bye.